Yeah, I used to do chanting, yeah, and then sometimes
no, we've lost Sita. Morning, Nina. How are you?
Well, home care is always too late, and then I have a stress with the timing.
But actually, you're always early. You're always in good time.
We can never be sure about home care, you know, every morning.
Always thinking about one situation or other.
Right, and
As
persons.
Jan said, lots of stress and trouble when one thinks about this or that situation and forgets about this moment, life at this moment.
I had a difficult person. I was so happy with all the very good reminders by you and by others.
It helps so much to come back to this moment and realize it is just the thinking about the story. We lost you, Sita, but you're back.
Because I heard this, without the Buddha's teachings, it would be impossible to understand that there is no one who behaves badly or in a good way.
Right.
That is most important, is to understand what appears now as it is gone instantly. So we always think of a person who stays for a moment but forget about the absolute reality. And I'm happy every time I need reminders, because every time even I understand, but I still need the reminders constantly.
Yes, I think that was a reminder I wrote, yes. It's so good to remember, yes. Yeah. It's always this person who does this and that without hearing the Buddha's teaching.
I'm a person, you know about that, and you give me reminders before. Yeah.
And there will always be difficult people in life, because there's always thinking about difficult people and good people, but actually it's just the thinking that's the real at this moment.
Yeah. It's good to be reminded again and again, even you say it, and then next time it's very good to be reminded again.
Gradually wean ourselves off the idea of people and situations. Otherwise, we just spend our whole life lost in the stories about people and situations and forget about seeing now, hearing now.
That's it. And I heard this, even when not you speak of as I, the I is there. It has impinged on the eye base so rapidly, and it is so subtle. I think it's very useful to learn more about the subtlety of the teachings. I know Ajahn mentions this a lot, the subtlety. Yes. And maybe we don't understand this enough.
And I don't know if Ajahn here. I want to show her a copy of the book. Are you here, Ajahn?
Swadika.
Ajahn, can you see the screen, Ajahn?
Pardon?
Can you see the pictures on the screen?
No.
Oh, you cannot, because I wanted to show a copy of the book that I show to others, the book. Oh, it's not showing up. It doesn't, I have to change my view. It's not difficult to show, but Ajahn can't see it. The book that Nina and I have written and Alan has published, which is based on the Zoom discussions. It's a very thick book. So I'm going to try to send you a copy in Thailand, Ajahn. It's a hardback copy. And then when it comes out in paperback, find a way to send to other people, because it's a very beautiful book that Alan has published from Nina's and my writings based on the Zoom discussions. So very useful for everyone, I think.
Everyone. Yeah.
Okay, we have a few topics ready to go, I think. So Nina has some to start with, and then Mark has his to continue with, and Zita has one or two. So Nina, would you like to start?
So my appreciation that for all the good reminders when there are difficult people, that it is impossible to understand that there is no one who behaves badly or in a good way without the Buddha's teachings. What is most important to understand what appears now as it is gone instantly. And I remarked that I always forget that it is gone instantly. Even I'm reminded, I need to be reminded again and again, because it always seems that the person can stay for a moment instead of understanding the absolute reality. And Ajahn, you mentioned often the subtlety of the teachings. So I think it's so good if we learn more about the subtlety of the teachings.
Because the subtlety of reality is not far away at all. It's now, just right now. Seeing is so very subtle. It arises and falls away instantly. And that which is seen is also very subtle because it's not there as it is, nothing. Only a reality which is experienced, and only that which experiences all the time. This is the subtlety of all dharmas, even hardness right now. It's there by conditions. What does it mean? It has a reason by condition, and it falls away instantly. That's why if it's not clearly experienced directly, it's impossible to let go the whole world as deeper and things, stars, universe, and so on. All are each reality conditioned to arise. And without that which arises to experience, nothing is there at all. But who can stop the conditions for whatever now appearing? That's why just learn to understand the absolute truth of that which we have heard, like that which arises and is now experienced, an object, just only experiencing and then gone. Consider the truth until it's so very common to be conditions for any moment of direct understanding of what is there. And this is great patience to understand the truth that actually no other way, because actually there's no one at all. Only different realities as cetasikas and rupas and citta, only that and then gone. So how about the understanding of that which is now arises and falls away? The subtlety of it can be directly developed to understand the nature of it, the truth of it, as what is seen now, even it does not appear as visible object, so very short and brief as the lightning. But it does not happen to understand the truth of it yet until Panya letting go. So natural. So it's not just following the word in the teachings, but understanding to attend to the truth of what is there. That it's that which has to be known, otherwise there cannot be any understanding of any moment or any reality at all. And this is parami. For example, we use the word pala. From indriya, it develops to be pala. Never be wavered from any, never be distracted by any other idea at all. Otherwise, it's I, very subtle, is there around the corner. Each moment, who knows? So the understanding only can let go the clinging, taking something all the time as something, but from hearing again and again, that is enrooted to understand the truth one day when time comes. And now realities are performing their function, no one there at all. That's why no I who intend to do this or that, is whether it's wrong attention, intention, or wrong memory, or wrong understanding, which perform their function. So all the world become to be the whole because of no understanding of whatever is now appearing, that it cannot be anything else. And depending on what appears can be studied to begin to understand the truth that at that very moment, not I at all, but from hearing again and again, it develops. It develops the moment of being attending to the characteristic of one reality at a time. So natural, because what are there in life must be known, directly experienced as what it one is from one to one. Otherwise, there must be the idea of something all the time. So it's just the function of realities, the Dhamma, Chitta and Jaitasika right now, no one there at all. So learn to understand each characteristic, no will, no intention, no expectation to experience this or that. They are all gone. So what is the next moment, the next object which is experienced, depending on condition, whether there is what type of Chitta and Jaitasika are there, with right understanding or with thinking, wise thinking, all depends on conditions. To be truthful to the truth. And that is the only way to let go the clinging, the ignorance of that which is now appearing. That's why there can be the understanding of how subtle it is. All the four Ariya Satya, and the path is the last one. While one reaches the goal, there's no doubt about how come, little by little, naturally letting go of whatever is there, like feeling or memory or any kind of reality as it is. And that's just the way to understand the anatterness of our dharmas right now. It does not appear as anatta, but what is there appears as atta, something. But the understanding can develop to understand that this is the world of concept, of nimitta, image, of that which is so subtle, arising and falling away all the time. It's there so deep that Panya can penetrate the truth, understand little by little, until it reaches the characteristic which now as it is. No one can imagine what does it mean, just one reality appearing at a time. But it's so true. That's why learn to understand the truth is to let go the idea of someone or something as before. The same word just to condition the moment of directly understanding the truth and begin to know that that is a reality, not more than that. And the other moment, another reality developed little by little with more understanding of the truth that no one can recognize, even the sati, the awareness with right understanding of that begin to develop, to let go. And how can it be known that it has developed? The moment when it let go, something there as only the true characteristic, which appears without any word. No one can change that characteristic, and it's there only when it is experienced, not more than that. And even right now, while one reality is experienced, not just one, the split-second moment of very tiny reality, much more than that. so very tiny, just so brief as a moment experienced. Just have firm understanding of the truth to condition more understanding of what is there, little by little. And at moment of being aware, it does not attend to other object, no interest in other object. So the characteristic of that can be calm, clear and clear and clear, little by little. So very little at a time, according to what has been accumulated in eons and eons ago. So years and years ago, to let go the idea of something there. So natural, that which is now not known as no one and no thing, can be known because it's so true. It's only there when it is experienced. And that which arises and experienced, also conditioned just to experience that object and then gone, never to arise again. No one, no thing in samsara, or what we take for the world, the whole world. Just listen again and again, and with this right understanding of our reality directly, how come from having heard, studied, have more confidence, so that moment is a little more confidence of the truth that it's there, not at the moment at all.
Ajahn, you said one object at a time and no interest in other objects. But when there is seeing, and immediately it seems that there is thinking of the meaning of what is seen, and there is the interest in liking to know the meaning of what is seen.
Because the characteristic which arises to just experiencing an object does not show up. So doubt, ignorance, and the idea of I is there. Because there is the experiencing. And when there is no and the understanding of that which arises to experience, so it's the idea I see. That's why even it arises to experience in truth, but it's not understood as it is. We can understand what is meant by nama, the reality which arises to experience an object, only that, but it's now at moment of seeing. And it takes quite a long, long time, naturally, to begin to understand that which experiences. And even thinking about the truth can condition a little more understanding of the truth. Gradually, very gradually. The body can change it not to be as very gradual as it is. From life to life, how long time Sariputta became Sotapanna, even just Sotapanna. And for him, the accumulation can condition moment of other level up to Arahata, not so not so long. But for the others, one has to understand the truth of that which has been accumulated to be different. How much understanding, how much attention or awareness of that which is now appearing. But when time comes unexpectedly, that's the result, that's the way it is, gradually accumulated for that to appear to that level of accumulation of understanding. If it has accumulated just to experience the nature of that, which nothing at all, no shape, no form, no smell, only the reality which no shape, no form, but it experiences an object appearing as nothing else, only that. No doubt about it. How come from moment of developing the truth little by little, so little that it doesn't show up, but it's there from moment to moment, begin again and again and again to be such different level until then. And this is the word for patience or virya, to understand the path, the only way to let go desire, attachment, wishing to experience this and that in this life or some lives ahead. Impossible. All by anatta, unexpectedly. It can be right now when there are conditions. It can be any time when conditions are there. To experience such level of understanding, by then who can realize in what life it has been developed, more or less, in some lives,
And
on
Ajahn,
and
I
on,
think,
to the very moment. Yes, please.
thank you, Ajahn. I was just going to add to your wise words that I think it could be said that all aspects of the Buddha's teaching are subtle because it concerns things that are not known before the teaching is heard. And even when the teaching has been heard, then the truth of what is heard cannot be readily known. So everything the Buddha taught is subtle and difficult to understand.
That's the truth. And that is the understanding of the truth.
And could we say particularly the reality that is arising at the present moment is the understanding of that reality is very subtle.
Yes, it doesn't show up how much it is, what level it is, but the understanding of the truth that it's here and it can be known, but the truth has to be studied carefully to develop the understanding, to let go wrong understanding, taking it for I or things around, little by little, until it's what is there in one's life, daily life, natural life, normal life, right now. All are there by conditions, no matter seeing, hearing, thinking, hardness, softness of sound. Gone. When there's the understanding, it's quite a relief. No one, nothing to do, just what is heard about what is there now can be known as it is, as no one and no thing. But the truth is there from moment to moment, different characteristic. And in truth, what is experienced now is not just a moment ago experience. And even the experience itself is not the same at all. And this is what is meant by a world, one world at a time. What is there is conditioned to be only that. and then gone. So what else, which is not world, whatever is there is a world. Each moment, when there's seeing, no other thing, so it's the world of seeing, arising and experiencing, and then gone. So very close from moment to moment that it cannot be directly experienced until right understanding has let go the wrong understanding, ignorance, taking what is there as permanent, but actually it's only when it's there. And in truth, it's just arising and gone, even it's there now. But a moment is a moment, as short, as brief as it is, arising and falling away instantly. So when we talk about the truth of arising and falling away, it's so long, longer than the truth. Long moment, but a moment, imagine, in split seconds. And that's what Buddha enlightened and taught for the other to consider the truth, to let go of ignorance and wrong view, wrong idea that it is I or thing, but in truth, it's only different conditioned realities arising and falling away on and on. So clinging arises because of ignorance, not understanding that what is clung to is no more there at all. So life goes on with ignorance and attachment as conditions from moment ahead, on, non-stop. But no one, no who at all, no me. That can be the idea of this person only in this life. From birth to death, that's the end of who am I? I am this and that, no more.
So, Mark, to come back to your topic that we were discussing before about the relationship between concepts and realities. So, only that which is real, only that which is a Paramatta Dhamma, a conditioned Paramatta Dhamma, arises and falls away. So, when we talk about the world breaking up at this moment and the subtlety of their rising, falling away, we're just referring to the realities, the different chittas, cetasikas, and rupas, because the concepts don't arise and fall away because they're not conditioned. They are just what are thought about to make known something. So we use concepts now to describe the different realities, to describe the seeing, to describe what is seen now, hearing now, what is heard now. But the hearing or the seeing arises and falls away. The concept, the idea about it is just the object of thinking. It doesn't arise and fall away. It cannot be known because it's just an idea. Only the realities can be understood. So the subtlety of understanding is the understanding of the subtlety of that which arises and falls away, the realities which appear to be known. And you asked about the relationship. So without these realities arising and falling away, there couldn't be any thinking about ideas about them. If there is no seeing, there cannot be thinking about seeing. If no reality is seen, there cannot be thinking about the story of what is seen. There cannot be the dreaming about what is seen and heard at nighttime or during the day. But the point is that The reason we talk about the realities is only the realities can be the object of awareness, the object of insight, leading to the eradication of ignorance and wrong understanding. Do you have any further comments or questions on this topic?
Well, I understand the relationship between concepts and absolute realities as you explain. The thing I'm which is hard for me to take in is when I see suffering around me. There's a lot of suffering at this moment in the world. And when I imagine that suffering, when I sort of identify with the people suffering, there comes a wish for me to end that suffering, like wishing all the people to be happy, wishing people to be without suffering. If I at the same time remember that they're not people, there are only short-lived realities, that would, in my mind, say there are no people who are suffering, so the wish for me to end that suffering is pointless, because there are no sufferers. There's only short-lived suffering. And that connection in my mind makes me doubt the teachings, because there seems to be no point in helping other people, because those people are just concepts. And if in my mind I go back to the short-lived realities like dukkha, unpleasant feeling, well, sort of kind of I understand it, sort of a short circuit in my mind, and it's probably because it's too far an intellectual exercise in my mind. But if I do the exercise in going back to the short-lived realities intellectually, it seems that there's no point in caring about seeing the suffering all around me. And that is something which I can't. So it feels like a nihilistic view. And in my mind, I know it probably isn't, but I can't see why I should care about the suffering all around me of the people which seems not to exist. Am I making myself clear?
It's a very good topic, Mark, and I know Ajahn will have many comments, but I think so at this moment, of course, as we know, the truth is it's thinking at this moment, thinking with doubt or thinking with confusion. So the world at this moment is the seeing now, the thinking now, or the idea, thinking about the idea that this will mean less kindness or care to others. But at this moment of being concerned about the other's welfare, the moments of kindness, moments of concern arise because they're conditioned too. So no matter whether we say it's Mark or Sarah, there is the feeling that arises. Everyone would like to have pleasant feeling. So one helps with kindness when there is an opportunity, even though in truth, no one is there at all. But yes, and the understanding of what is true right now, whether it's kindness or whether it's feeling sorrow for their loss or their difficulty. Only understanding can understand. And the understanding actually leads to more kusala because of the nature of understanding the truth at this very moment.
Yes, and the thing is that I experience the care for other people, but when I think about the short-lived realities, it seems a delusion. So I feel care about other people, and then I think, well, but that it's just conditioned realities. So the caring must be because of the delusion, and that makes that doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good for me to see the caring for other people as a how do you say that? As conditioned by delusion.
Who had the greatest care and the greatest compassion and metta for others?
Yes, I understand. Yes. Well, that's
even
why.
though
That's
in truth there was no Buddha, in truth there were no other people,
no, right,
but conditions
right.
for the very greatest compassion and kindness because of understanding the nature of all realities as dukkha and the great sympathy and care for the plight that is all around, even though in truth it doesn't belong to anyone at all, but it is the nature of the life of a living being to have such experiences that one can have such great care and sympathy for.
Yes, I can see that. I can. That's why there is faith in the Buddha, and that's why there's faith in the Dhamma. But
And when
in
there
the Dhamma about the short-lived realities, it's not. I cannot see the cause. So if I think about the short-lived realities, I cannot find a reason to care about the others. It seems almost the other way around. It seems almost, well, I shouldn't care because there aren't any other people. So I shouldn't bother. And I can see that that's a misunderstanding, but it seems weird to think about that. And I know I should. No, I don't. I don't want it. But it seems the consequence of what is taught.
When you mention seeing suffering around and wanting people who are subject to suffering to be relieved of that suffering, what are you referring to? What kind of suffering do you see around?
Well, there different things like the war in Ukraine. Like people, I'm living in my house and I'm happy in my house. And I see in the Ukraine, I see people who their houses are bombed, and they're living in subway stations. And I imagine myself that happening to me, and I think, well, that's. I wish for them that didn't happen, because I can see it's really. It's a really unhappy situation for them, and at the same time, that's a big thing, And the other thing is, when I see someone at the door, their hands filled with packets, I just open the door for them so they can go in easily, so they don't relieve them of that small suffering of not being able to open the door. Those sufferings I'm talking about, and everything in between that range.
When there are people who are in a war situation, for example, we understand that, well, whether it's near or far, even in our own immediate circle, people are experiencing pleasant and unpleasant realities, aren't they? By virtue of past karma. And we understand that the unpleasant bodily feeling is conditioned by past karma.
Yes.
And sometimes we would like to help them, but are unable to do so. When someone is ill, for example, and in pain because of their illness, often there's nothing that we can do. They have to be helped by someone else, a doctor, for example, who is able to make a diagnosis and give the right treatment.
Yes, but we can talk to them, and we can comfort them, and
yes.
listen to their anguish. And
right. So we do what we can, but without the expectation that we are able to undo the suffering that they are experiencing, because we appreciate that it is due to other conditions. And
right.
So the development of metta is all about the wish that other people should be free of suffering, as you said, but it's not with an expectation that one can make that happen.
No, I understand. Yeah.
And it's actually more like treating other people as a friend rather than as an enemy. So it's the absence of any hostility or other kind of negative feeling towards other people.
Yes.
And the fact that what we take for a person is just conditioned realities doesn't have any bearing on that, because we ourselves, what we take for ourselves are just conditioned realities. But we understand what it is to suffer, and we understand what it is to be free from suffering. And it is that ability to relate in that manner that is the basis for the wholesome well-wishing for others, regardless of whether we see them as having a self or not having a self, for example. So the person who has never heard the Buddha's teaching can also have highly developed metta towards other beings.
Yes, and the question is, I think, when I see someone with their hands filled with packets and they can't open the door, and I'll feel the inclination to open the door because I see that's a sort of an unpleasant situation in which they are. So I open the door for them; they can go in. I think it's based on imagining myself in that situation, and in seeing they are themselves in that situation, and I'm seeing them as a person, and I see myself as a person. So it seems that wish for me to open the door is based on a delusion.
Well, it can be.
So why should I do it?
One does it because kusala citta arises. So as I said before, the person who's never heard the Buddha's teaching and only knows an idea of self will also want to open the door for the other person. And having a better understanding of the reality of the present moment doesn't mean there's any less inclination to offer common courtesies and so forth. To
Well,
be polite, to be polite, to be courteous, considerate, and so on.
Yes, I understand. But at the same time, when I mention all the short-lived realities, when I keep in mind there's not a person, there's not me, there's not the one with the packages in the hand, the consequence is that I will not open the door. So it seems that the realization that all the realities are only short-lived and they're not persons makes me not wanting to open the door. And that's something which is hard to take in because I want to open the door.
This imagining of short-lived realities, is that understanding? I don't think so. I think it's just relating what we've learned to the situation. There's not the actual any direct realization of the reality of short-lived realities.
No, it's not. It's not a direct realization, but it's. So I think it is intellectually understanding. Or
is it a helpful way to think when we see someone to think of they are just short-lived realities?
Well, isn't that what we're talking about all the time?
Well, we talk about we do talk about short-lived realities, but we talk about having a better understanding of any short-lived reality that is appearing at the present moment. We don't talk about trying to see the world in terms of short-lived realities. That is not what the Buddha's teaching is. The Buddha's teaching is about understanding. And as that understanding develops, there is more appreciation of the reality of momentary dhammas. But we should not be trying to take something that we understand to be part of the teaching and, as it were, applying it to the conventional world when we are still don't have the developed understanding of that aspect of the teachings.
Right. So what you're saying is, I can open the door for that person, and at the same time I can remember or realize that there are short-lived realities, and I can have interest in how they do their workings while I'm opening the door.
The short-lived realities that we can be interested in are those that appear to understanding, to awareness and understanding. So it may be visible object or sound or painful bodily feeling of our own, but it is not something when we are conceptualizing the world in terms of people and things. It is not a matter of seeing those people and things in terms of short-lived realities, because that is not the development of understanding, of direct understanding, of any kind of understanding. I appreciate that you have a good conceptual grasp of the Buddha's teaching about realities, but it is what is appearing now in terms of realities, not in terms of conventional objects, people and things, that is to be understood as it truly is. Perhaps Ajahn will come in at this point and make some comments.
Shall we clarify just one point or one question at a time until it's clearly understood? What is just one or the first question about?
First question.
What shall we begin?
Yes, I'm thinking.
think the first point you made was about suffering in the world and around you and identifying with people suffering. Is that right, Mark?
Well, the main thing is that if I there seems to be, if I read the Abhidhamma, if I read about the short-lived realities, the concepts seem to lose their value. So they are without any real meaning. And if I follow that, understanding, there seems to be no real point in helping people. So why does the Arahat help another person? Why does he do it? Maybe it's the question. Why does an Arahat help another person if he sees it's not a person?
Because of understanding of the truth. It conditions compassion and kindness because of understanding what is the unwholesome situation and truth, and what is that which understand the truth. So the point is that you'd like to help people not to have suffering, right?
Yes, yes.
Can you do that? Because you see that can you live until the moment you can help the others to not to have suffering at all?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Do you think that you can help all everyone in the world to have no suffering?
No, I can't. No.
So it's impossible to help the other not to have such suffering or situation because there must be conditions for everything, right? Why don't you have
Well,
suffering? Why do you have?
but I can help one person, I think, at a time.
Okay, there is kind feeling, compassion, wanting to help the person in needs or when they have suffering, right?
Yes.
But you can help with understanding or without understanding, right?
Sorry?
You can help the other with your understanding or without any understanding at all. Is that right?
Yes. Yes, that's right.
So, but what is better to help with understanding and just wanting to help, not pleasant feeling at all because they have suffering and you just want to help? It's
I
different from moment. There is the understanding of what moment is because it's there so real. And what is that? One might take it for wholesome, but what about the unpleasant feeling there? Thinking about bad situation or unpleasant surroundings and so on. There can be moment of being wholesome, be friendly, helping the other with kindness and understanding, not
yes.
just with kindness without any understanding at all, right?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
When there's understanding, there can be kindness too, compassion too, helping the others too.
Yes, sure. Yes. Yes, I can experience. I think I do experience that.
So
So
at moment of helping,
it feels better to help someone when it comes very natural than when and then it doesn't. Like that's the example of opening a door for someone. Most of the time, that really happens very natural, very relaxed, and that feels
and
really nice.
And as long as there are conditions for suffering to arise, can anyone stop it to arise?
No, no.
So the best way is not understanding what conditions such situation of suffering, so that there cannot be suffering again or less, better than just not understanding what conditions is arising at all.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's why we learn to understand what is wholesome and what is wholesome, who can manage it, who can control it, who can change wholesomeness into unwholesomeness. Impossible to understand the absolute truth. It's there by conditions. No one can make anything arise at all, even opening the door by conditions, right?
Right.
So actually, to do anything by conditions and understand the conditions for that very moment, it's better than just do it without any understanding at all, right?
Yes, I would say so. But at the same time, when I say it's better, I don't really know what I mean. Why would it be better?
Better
Oh,
because of understanding the truth. And when
but
there's no understanding about conditions and the truth of that very moment, it's not as better as helping with understanding the truth. And what is the truth? What is the truth of conditions for suffering? And if you like the other not to have suffering, let them understand, help them to understand the conditions for suffering, because no one can make it arise, but there are conditions for its arising.
yes,
So understanding is better than ignorance. And understand what? What is there now? What is the truth of it? Otherwise, it's not the understanding of the truth at all. The truth is the truth. Nobody can change the nature of that reality not to be true at all. For example, kindness is there. Anger is different. Unpleasant feeling is not moment of pleasant feeling. So even at moment of helping, it can be done with unpleasant feeling. Just think about the bad situation and so on. At that very moment, the feeling is not pleasant at all. And right understanding what conditions it, and help the other. And better than all is also help them to understand the conditions for whatever is there. And whatever is there is a reality. Each reality is different by different conditions. Is that better to understand the truth? And you can help the other to understand the conditions for suffering or pleasant situation or fame or wealth and anything by conditions. Otherwise, it's just helping endlessly, because there must be conditions for the unpleasant situation to arise. By conditions, all by conditions. So the best thing to give, not just the food or anything, but understanding is the best, the precious thing to help the other, to give the other, to share with the other. When they have the understanding, what about their behavior, which conditioned by ignorance and unwholesomeness, and let go that which is the condition for suffering, little by little. Is there any way to understand the truth? Because it's now. What is there is not yet understand the absolute truth of it. That's why there is still the idea of self. But what is taken for self? Do you have the body? Is the body you? Or no body at all?
nobody at all.
That's why there can be the understanding at moment of giving too. No one there, but there are the unpleasant moments, unpleasant feeling, and unpleasant thought, thinking about this and that. And right understanding can see what's right and what's wrong, what is benefit and what is unbenefit at all. Help them to have their own conditions for no matter it is suffering or pleasant moments, by conditions.
As for what I think I understand is that when there's more understanding in the world and within me, there will be less suffering. There will be less dukkha.
And what is dukkha? In the absolute sense, you can help them not to have suffering, but you cannot help them not to die.
No, I can't. But maybe I can help them die more. Die them with more understanding. Maybe I can help them do that.
People take it more serious than just having no food or in need, right?
Sorry? Can you
People
repeat?
think that death is worse than just to be in need or wanting something to live and so on, right?
Yes.
So there can be the understanding of that to have less and less ignorance and conditions for the bad situation. Who knows when will it come? It can be you at any time or me at any time by conditions.
Mm-hmm.
But the best thing in life is to understand the conditions for whatever arises. We use the word karma when it's wholesome, it conditions the wholesome result, pleasant result. And when it's akusala, unwholesome deeds, how can it condition such pleasant moment? Impossible. The karma, the cause is not pleasant at all. So how can it condition pleasant moment? That's the truth is that actually what is taken for thing or people, in truth, just the arising of a conditioned reality to be different. When they are whole, we take it for something, like a flower, a shoe, or a person. But in truth, is that anyone or anything permanent at all? Even right now, what appears is so permanent, but in truth, each one arising and falling away by conditions, non-stop, from moment to moment, as long as there are conditions for whatever arise, nobody can change, no one can do, because condition only can condition such moments. So when one understands the conditions for being in need, one have compassion for the deeds, past deeds, unwholesome deeds. So we can help them as much, but the best thing is to help them to understand the truth so that they can have their own conditions for whatever will be from life to life.
Yes, I think the if we say the best thing is to understand, there seems to be a problem in that sentence that it's about the best. Why would it be the best?
Because you see that
maybe it's more accurate to say
so now let us consider what is the best reality in life.
Yes, what is the best reality in life?
What is the best reality in life? Right understanding or no understanding at all? What is better? Some people think that it's no need to understand what is there in life, just live. pleasantly. That's the goal. But what about ignorance? No understanding at all. Take whatever is there as life. So there's craving for life and doing something unwholesome to gain something for life. And then what's the result? Unpleasant situation, no understanding of the conditions for that very moment at all. If there is the understanding, it can condition less wholesomeness, less less unwholesomeness, and less unwholesome words and deeds, which are conditioned for whatever will be by that condition.
But I, I, if I want to answer the question, is wholesomeness better than unwholesomeness? I can do that only from a conventional viewpoint. I cannot
That's
do
why
it from an absolute viewpoint, because then there's no unwholesomeness is for the reality, it's not better or worse than wholesomeness. So if I can only do that from a conventional viewpoint. And if I want to leave the conventional viewpoint, there's wholesomeness is not better or worse than unwholesomeness. It's just wholesomeness is just wholesomeness, and unwholesomeness is just unwholesomeness. It's just what it is.
That's why there must be clear understanding of just one word at a time. What is Dhamma? Or if you don't use the word Dhamma, you can use any word for anything. What is seeing? What is hearing? And so on. But what is it? Is it there? But what is it? I see, I hear, I think, or it's seeing self. What is the truth? Who conditions seeing to arise is not I, because it's there already. Hearing is there already. Why take it for I when it arises to hear and just to see? So is it right or wrong to take that which is conditioned to arise to be me or mine? How can it be? Because before it arises, there's no seeing, there's no hearing, but as soon as it has arisen, no understanding conditions for its arising. Just take it when there's no one around. It's I who see. Now it's I who hear. In truth, seeing is seeing itself. Can it be anyone or anything?
No.
Like think, it cannot be hearing. It cannot be thinking. It's conditioned just to arise to see and then gone, never to arise again. So where's I? Where's me? Where's people? And where's thing? The succession of the arising and falling away so rapidly that it forms up the shape and form and the idea of something. Make it known as something, make it known as I see, I think. But in truth, if it does not arise, seeing does not arise, can there be I see?
No.
So seeing cannot be I at all.
No.
At moment of seeing people in need, see, what about the feeling, pleasant or unpleasant? Is it better not to have unpleasant feeling with understanding and pure kindness? At moment of being kind, the feeling is not bad. Our reality cannot be another reality. That's why it is itself absolute reality. Consider whether it's true or not, even it's not directly experienced, but the truth is that which can be directly experienced, but not with ignorance, taking it for something all the time. It says it's some mark to be taken for something, to be known as this or that. That is only thinking, and thinking is conditioned too. Why Buddha's thinking is different from the others? What conditioned that? So in truth, there has to be the understanding and confidence of that which is there no matter what. cannot be taken for anything permanent, cannot be taken as I, or cannot be taken as they, a shoe, a cat, a dog, a flower. Not at all. What is that is experienced very rapidly through one doorway at a time. The rapidity condition the mark, symbol, shape, and form of something by sanya, a reality which arises with the citta, the chief of experiencing that object, marks it, take it for something permanent, vipallasa, not as it is, because the truth is not known at all. Even a person coming to the door, knock the door, the sound is heard. And what is seen, gone. What is the absolute truth? To know that life is just like that. The continuation of the arising and falling away, succeedingly, rapidly, condition the world of Panyati. Make it known as something all the time. But the truth of it is breaking world. Whatever arises falls away instantly, beyond expectation. How can it be? And this is what the Buddha enlightened the truth. And after his enlightenment, he said, all dhammas are so subtle. So what is taken for a man, a dog, so subtle in truth. Just one moment of one object experienced at a time. And even the experiencing is not the same one at all. It seems like they're seeing all the time now, but in fact, in truth, just arise to experience one object and then fall away, one doorway, one process at a time, followed by many moments of minor process, marks it and remembers it as something, a door, a man, knocking, and so on, from birth to death. And then what? It has to be for every life, born and die. And before death, is there any understanding of the truth? Just experience and then gone all the time, to be forgotten. What is that? Yesterday, the day before, I've forgotten. Do you think about it? Sometimes, not as it is at all. Different ones from moment to moment, never be the same one at all. Is that not true? And when people do not have understanding of the truth, ignorance condition and wholesome reality to arise, clinging, attaching to the self so much that it can condition any unwholesome deeds and speech to get this and that. For that we take for self, but it's not there anymore. From moment to moment, it's gone. And having such understanding, one has compassion for the others who understand too. The best gift in samsara, not just only deserve, or just live, and sometimes be unwholesome unknowingly, and sometimes be wholesome unknowingly, until death, no more. No more this person. Just be able to be this person just only in this life. And then who knows what is there after death, next life, by conditions again. As birth is by condition to be such, this person and that person, dog or cat, or mouse, or bird, or human being, cripple, or what? By conditions.
So, Mark, can you
Yes.
hear me?
Yes, I
Yeah.
can.
Yeah. So you can see what Achan is saying, that it is the ignorance which is the root of the problem. So even when in the case that you cannot help the other person by way of telling them about Dhamma and making them understand Dhamma, because not everyone has the accumulations for understanding. At least for your own understanding, knowing that the value of understanding and the danger of ignorance, the harm of ignorance, wouldn't this condition more kusala for other people?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because earlier you were asking how the understanding, helps. Achan asked, is it better to understand and to have kusala with understanding or without? You were not sure. So this is, I think, one example where it points to the value of understanding. And also, on the other hand, we can see that when it's done with the idea of self, when you help others with the idea of self, that's akusala.
Yes, I understand.
Right. So that akusala cannot condition more kusala, which is
No.
the opposite of understanding. Understanding conditions more kusala, whereas ignorance and wrong understanding conditions more akusala.
Yes, I think that the listening and thinking about all this is in the conventional world. I want to divide things in good and bad. And kusala is good and akusala is bad. But I think that's the problem. If I would really understand, I would not make that division. It's just the things are just what they are.
Right.
And if you,
but isn't it?
if you see the things what they are, they move towards kusala, and that's just what is happening.
But even what you're saying right now, isn't that saying that there's value in understanding what you are saying?
In a conventional way, yes. Yes, conventionally there is value, yeah. But I think the giving value to something is based on delusion. And I think it's about faith. If I have faith in the Dhamma, things will move in a way which conventionally I would say is a better way. But it's mixing the conventional saying about good and bad with just having faith in how things go. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Add something?
Yeah.
Because I was going through the same roller coaster as Mark while you were talking about this, also feeling disappointment and doubt. And the thought came to me, it doesn't matter for realities whether there is kusala or akusala arising, but if we take samsara or the end of samsara, then there has to be a direction. And it doesn't matter if we call it wholesome or unwholesome or plus or minus or left or right. We don't, I think I was forgetting that the only reason why there's kusala and akusala, or naming better or not or worse, it's the direction it's going, whether we're staying in samsara or maybe it leads through a long time, of course, but it leads out of samsara. And I think that's the only distinction. And the compassion comes also from realizing that this clinging is not subtle at all. And staying in samsara is what we're sharing. And this is the real dukkha. But we tend to forget that, well, what I said already, the only importance of naming things better or not, or worse, or kusala is this direction it's going, to lead out of samsara or not.
I think there are 2 points that are being confused together. Back to your point, Mark, because on the one hand, if we're talking about the development of understanding, right now, what is understood, it doesn't matter whether it's seeing or hearing or kindness or anger, because each one is a conditioned reality. And when it is the object of understanding, the citta arises with understanding to understand just what appears, not anything that is selected. So this is one point, but another point is when we're talking about what is wholesome and what is unwholesome, why is understanding wholesome and ignorance unwholesome? This is not just a conventional usage. It's referring to the nature of realities. So understanding has to be developed because it's the only way out of samsara, as Chanti mentioned. When there is understanding, there is no ignorance at that moment. When there is kindness or metta at that moment, there's no unpleasantness, there's no anger. This is why it is wholesome. This is why it is to be developed. The paramis have to be developed with understanding to support them. Without the development of metta and truthfulness and adhitthana and so on, understanding cannot develop. So it's not just a conventional usage, it's pointing to the nature of realities. Without kindness, how is it possible to help the others in their difficulties? So the reality of kindness is quite different from the reality of anger. And one is, everyone would like to experience kindness rather than anger. So
Yes,
that is.
Yes, I understand, but that there are no others. And there is
So
no...
when we talk about others, it's just a conventional usage. Like you said, oh, if I were in that underground bunker, I would like to have assistance. So the Sotapanna can say the same. So this can be said with wrong view or no wrong view. Even when there's right understanding, we use Mark or Nina just to make known what we're talking about. But in truth, we're talking about different feelings, different cittas, different moments of kindness, different moments of unhappiness, different moments of pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling. So it's just a shorthand that can be used for convenience. And the other point I think that causes a lot of confusion is when we think of the situation as a whole, we think of the situation of helping the person in the bunker or opening the door for others. And it seems confusing because there may be right understanding or wrong understanding. In truth, there's no opening the door for the others or helping the others in the bunkers. There are just different cittas, moments of kindness, moments of thinking about opening the door, reaching out, and so on, moments of sadness, being concerned about their heavy bags, moments of annoyance because it's a little bit heavy to take the bags, different moments. So it's understanding that can understand the subtlety of the teachings, the subtlety of the different realities, that the moments of kindness just arise and fall away, the moments of irritation or bodily unpleasant feeling or seeing or hearing are different. So that's why it always comes back to this moment, and only the understanding can be truthful to what is real at that very moment. It's not 10 minutes of being kind to the other person in the bunker and helping with the bags. It's the kindness is just for a moment and then gone. And this is the truthfulness to begin to understand what is pure and wholesome for a moment. And it's not my kindness. It's not my meanness. They're just different realities, just like now, moments of kindness and consideration, moments of annoyance, moments of pleasant feeling, moments of unpleasant feeling. So the truthfulness means that there's more appreciation of what is wholesome and worthy and what is unwholesomeness, less kidding oneself that whenever one opens the door, it's just all kindness and good feeling, for example. So understanding only leads to the truthfulness at this very moment.
Yes, I think what I experience when you talk about just moments of kindness when you're opening the door for someone, I feel there's clinging to me wanting to help that other person.
Right.
So it's really very hard to let that image of the other person and me go, and just go to only that moment of kindness. It seems that there's fear of losing. There's fear of losing the world.
And that's
I think
why
that's
there has to be the understanding and the truthfulness, like even now there can be the fear of losing the other people or our friends, but it's just the thinking with fear for a moment, and that's gone too. That's also just in a moment. Whatever arises, it's just in a moment and then gone. The fear, the worry about not helping, the concern about this or that, because we think of this and that situation, like Nina said at the very beginning, we think about my helper or this situation or that situation, and all the problems are because of thinking of the situations, not understanding the truth of the reality right here and now.
I mean, we've all got the habit of speculating. We do that a lot, but I think it's very unhelpful to speculate. The Dhamma is not like something you hear and then you start imagining what will happen in this situation, what will happen in that situation. That's where Ajahn always reminds us what appears. That's the only object of understanding.
Yes, well, the thing is, there's in my I have a lot of how to say that, wish for happiness for me and for the other, and it's not. I think it's an akusala wish. It's wanting for me to be happy, wanting the others to be happy, and it's really wanting. And
more clinging.
It's clinging. Yeah, it's clinging. And there's a conviction that when I let go of that clinging, it will all get worse.
And it's different. That clinging is different from those moments of just kindness, just helping without thinking about
that's why
this or that.
That's why I mentioned
helping
opening the door. That's not
because
so,
at moments of
it's not so
kindness,
a big deal. It's just I'm just
and
doing
just thinking of the other's needs. There's no clinging to
No.
how can I be more happy or how can I get the result I would like. So different moments, but they're just different dharmas arising and falling away. So that's why without understanding, it wouldn't be known at all. And it would all be taken for my clinging and my fear and my kindness and the other person. So understanding is what purifies the citta and conditions more true kindness and more kusala, more honesty.
But the paradox is so huge between Panya leading out of samsara and then the wrong view. I'm gonna take care of this. That's a big paradox.
It is.
John, the prior to enlightenment, the Arahat, prior to enlightenment, the Lokuttara Citta rising, it only rises once. There's no need for it to arise again and again to become more enlightened. Prior to that, said Arahat to be experiences suffering, and then Lokuttara Citta, and then enlightenment, and dwelling in unconditioned reality. So the Arahat does not experience suffering the way I do. And the understanding, the enlightenment, ignorance, which is the root, eradicates suffering.
Is there any difference between Asutapanna and Arahata?
Yes, Ajahn.
What is the difference?
Well, the Arahat has eradicated all defilements, but not the Sotapanna.
And actually, what eradicates?
Understanding Panya.
Yes. And what about Sotapanna? Does a Sotapanna also enlighten the truth of this moment, the Four Noble Truths?
The Sotapanna is different from the Arahat, not to the degree of fully enlightened.
But is there any doubt about the Four Noble Truths?
Yes.
As long as there is doubt, that is not the characteristic of Sotapanna.
I see. Then the doubt is eradicated at the stage of the Sotapanna.
Mm-hmm. And what else besides the doubt?
That would be wrong view, but there is still clinging.
Yes. So clinging to sensuous object cannot be eradicated as long as not being as anagami yet.
Yes.
And this is a difference between different levels of panya, as Sotapanna, Sakatagami, Anagami, and Arahata.
Yes.
It
Recently,
indicates how deeply rooted the akusala, avijja, and attachment. It has to be finally eradicated by an Arahata, never to arise again. No matter what level, anusya, no more, within no more. Akusala.
yes. So in the moment, it may seem that, for example, drinking water to alleviate thirst is what is necessary for the suffering or discomfort. But ultimately, it is the understanding, the panya, which leads to the eradication of all the defilements and being fettered or bound to be reborn. But this is a blissful realm in that Dhamma can be heard, and that through hearing the Dhamma, through listening, associating with the wise, and so on, that even though it's eons, that panya, that there is enlightenment can happen. So I express appreciation very much. So rejoice in today's discussion. Thank you, Ajahn.
I appreciate your understanding and your interest of studying the truth so much, very much. Excuse me.
Thank you, Ajahn. Appreciation, and I rejoice.
Every life lives on conditions, no matter Sotapanna, Sakatagami, Anagami, or Arahata. That's why even Arahata has different accumulation to be different ones. Sariputta, Mokkhalana, Mahakaspa, and so on. So actually there's no one, only different accumulation of realities. In a moment, the next moment is conditioned by this moment, not the same one, not the same quantity or quality of conditions.
And even an arahat must experience great bodily suffering by, according to past karma, akusala karma. Think of Mahamoggallana or other arahats who experienced extreme physical suffering and difficulty, but no unwholesomeness, no defilements, no aversion, no disturbance at all on account of what is experienced. So no one can stop the results of past karma, no matter in Ukraine or here or there or anywhere. But the path is towards the development of understanding and eradication of unwholesome states that cause all the trouble in the world.
Yes, I've been reading about karma and vipaka and the resultants, and but what you just said of suffering, dukkha, of anatta-ness, no self, of the clinging, of the impermanence, all there is, they're just the dhammas, the citta, the cetasika, the rupa, these realities.
In truth, all the Aryans understand that whatever is conditioned is dukkha in the deepest sense. So the kindness, the understanding, whatever arises and falls away instantly isn't to be clung to, because it's unsatisfactory. It's not worth being the object of attachment at all.
Yes, Sukin?
Sorry, my mic was accidentally left on, sorry.
And Chanti, I know you wish to speak a little bit more about your concern about chanting, because I know you have the habit of chanting, and this has been a big part of your life.
Not me, I think Sita.
Sorry, not Sita. Sorry, I said the wrong name. Sita.
I
Yes.
don't have accumulation.
I'm getting the name Chanti and chanting mixed up. Sita, sorry. I was looking at Sita. I meant Sita.
Yeah.
Yes, Sita. You mentioned that you have a chanting has been a main part of your life, and you would like to talk about it more.
And I listen a lot, like to listen from time to time. And now I'm remembering, like I was forgetting or remembering at this moment about this Buddha Nusati at this moment of hearing. I hear the chanting, and then I start to remember, and at the same time considering and thinking. It is no need at the present moment.
What about now when we discuss about the understanding of the reality that appears now, at these, like the seeing now or the hearing, at these moments of developing a little understanding of the truth, at those moments, isn't there at the same time a paying respect to the Buddha? Because without the Buddha's teachings, it would be impossible to understand anything about the truth of life now. So we don't have to chant or recite or repeat the word Buddhanusati or any other words, but at the moment of understanding what life is now, there is at that moment paying respect or appreciating the Buddha's qualities.
Yeah, and through listening, and I start considering that I'm listening, it's all also at the present moment.
So it's not a matter of having to do something or trying to repeat the words or trying to catch the meaning or trying to catch the reality, because that is still the idea of I doing something or I practicing or I trying to understand.
Okay.
So the understanding has to develop very naturally, not by I trying to do something.
Oh, okay. Okay. And there's also another question with this emotional, like sadness, remembering, forgetfulness. And there was one word that the Buddha, Ananda, was very sad when Buddha went to Mahaparinirvana. So there was Buddha reminded Ananda, let the Dhamma be your refuge. So this is a very helpful to think it over and over again. And this sadness, happiness, or they are what I call as a moments, no?
Does it
That's
mean
why.
for the, what does it mean for the Dhamma to be the refuge right now?
Yeah, I was thinking Ananda, who was very close to Buddha, and he was very sad. And Buddha told him these words. So I start considering, and I start considering and thinking over this sentence. And then I realized that everything is only at the present moment. It's gone, it arises, and it passes away. I start considering and thinking over it.
And at this moment of understanding, when there is the understanding that what is seen now is the world and falls away instantly, and the seeing now, it's not my seeing, it's just the reality that sees now. When there is the beginning of understanding, the Dhamma is the refuge more and more. So it is the understanding at this moment of the Dhamma appearing, of the truth of reality now, that is the refuge, not the Buddha, not an Ajahn, not anyone, not anything, but the understanding right now of what the world is that is appearing to be understood now, life just in this very moment.
That's why he said it, let the Dhamma be the refuge. That means he puts the Dhamma above him. No?
Because in the end, it has to be not the Buddha's understanding, not Ajahn's understanding, not anyone's understanding, but the understanding itself now of what appears.
Of the Dhamma.
Only that is the real refuge, the understanding of the truth of what appears at this very moment.
Okay,
not belonging to anyone. It's a very good reminder. Thank you, Sita.
Yeah, I always remind, and every time when I start considering and start thinking, then it's very helpful for me to come back and remember this situation and moments.
So no need for the chanting or following any exercise or doing anything special, because life is just at this moment, no matter what the circumstances, no matter what the situation, no matter what the result of karma, no matter here or in Ukraine or anywhere else, seeing is still seeing, hearing is still hearing, thinking is thinking, unpleasant feeling, pleasant feeling. It has to be like that.
Yeah, all this I have to...
Refuge is just the understanding now.
Yeah, it takes time to have this habit of thinking and then realizing, and helpful. This sentence helps in daily life also.
Yes, coming back again and again.
Yeah, it's you forget every time.
That's right.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah.
Your interest, Sita. Yeah.
Thank you,
Glad
Sarah.
you keep coming.
Thank you.
But see that the first refuge is the Buddha. Without the Buddha, there wouldn't be the other two refuges.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Does anyone else have anything they'd like to bring up for Jan before we finish? Lucas or Anli or anyone else? Jyotika, anyone? Alberto, anyone? Shanti?
Can I ask about Aditana Parami? You've been recently talking, Jan, about Aditana as confidence. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I understand the Aditana. I thought more like as resolution, or I don't see the connection with confidence. Can you explain more about it? About Aditana Parami, Ajahn? Thank you.
Is there now confidence of the truth of this moment as no one and no thing?
Just a little bit.
So confidence is confidence of the truth, that it cannot be changed. Whatever is there by condition arises and falls away. No one there. Is there a little more confidence of this truth?
Right, yes, a little bit more.
So confidence is about understanding the truth as anatta, no one, all dhammas are anatta, all sankhara are anicca, dukkha, and anatta as well. And this is the goal, the destination of listening to realize the truth of this very moment. Not just believe or not just take it as words, but it's so true that it can be directly experienced. Otherwise, there would not be any word like enlighten the truth, realize the truth. And the path is so subtle too, because it is only the moment of understanding from very little until it gets closer to the reality which is now appearing. Because now even what is now appearing is so far away from understanding or attention. We just pay attention to other things, but not the characteristic of that which now shows up. The reality which sees is a reality now. It sees at the moment of seeing and then gone. And that which is seen, it cannot be anything with shape and form as something taken as thing or people, but it's just that which can impinge on the eye base. So what about confidence of the truth, which is quite so far from now, but it can be closer and closer and closer when there's more considering about the truth, the absolute truth. It has to be only that. So it's a moment of understanding what is meant by the breaking world. Each moment arises and falls away, because in truth, it's that which is covered up by ignorance and attachment, taking it for something all the time, until the understanding develops more confidence. And that is the moment of letting go the idea of self and more confidence to begin to this second level, higher level from intellectual understanding, because there is intellectual understanding about what is now appearing, but it's not moment of understanding just one now as it is, because it needs to be done, to be there by conditions only. And condition is the more confidence to understand the truth, to let go. No me, no I, who can do anything, who cannot try to concentrate or to think a lot about it. But understanding the difference between the sati, the a reality, which we use the word sati, it does not forget the truth of what is there. So the other mental factors arise together, performing their function from moment to moment, no one there at all. That's why Buddha taught about different levels of different realities at one moment at a time, only in a moment at a time. This moment is not last moment, but it's conditioned by conditions, no matter how far it is. By Ian's to condition just a little more confidence of the truth. And how can one know that one has confidence enough when there is time to read, to hear, to consider? It means that that is conditioned because of a little more confidence of the truth. So the daily life shows what's there. Confidence, no confidence, a little more confidence with understanding, or just a little doubt about that. But when it's more attended or be aware of, it can show up its nature as nothing is there with it. For example, hardness, nothing is there with it. So in truth, one moment at a time, nothing at all except that which appears. To understand the truth of actually what is meant by no thing and no one at all, and only a reality appearing in a moment, only at a moment. Seeing what is there is only that which can be seen, and the seeing itself, no other thing at all. That is the meaning of just one reality can be object of and experiencing, whether it is seeing or hearing or smelling or touching. That is so true, but no one can imagine that moment at all because it hasn't happened yet. It seems like everything is there all the time, but who's the enlightened one without the realization of the truth? How can the word of truth about everything can be said? That's why understanding reality can be understood little by little, stage by stage. That's right. If there is no understanding about the direct awareness with understanding of the fact of a characteristic right now, it cannot be moment of beginning to be acquainted with that which is not self. Because actually in a day there is no thing as self at all. Only it has its own characteristic appearing just very shortly and knowingly all the time until it's there as an object with understanding. That is another characteristic of what we call it sati, not just intellectual, but it's there being aware of a reality, hardness, or that which experiences it, depending on conditions, just one at a time, very naturally, no one there. It just happened by conditions to understand more, have confidence more, adhidana of dhammas as no one, anatta. And the point of listening to the teachings of the word about all dhammas are anatta means that when there's no understanding, all dhammas are taken for something as atta. Something, a thing is atta. Nothing just arise, appears, and then disappear, can be known because it's so true. But when it's known, it's only by way of nimitta of that, because just one reality, no matter it is Citta, Cetasika, Arupa, cannot be realized at all by way of processes. Otherwise, that must be wrong understanding, and I try so hard to try to know or to understand or to do this or that as I can do. But in fact, there's no one at all, only the function of different realities arising by conditions unexpectedly. So now the next one is unexpectedly arising and falling away unknowingly until direct awareness with understanding of the characteristic of that is there. Being aware with understanding a little bit. It's not clear in the beginning, but it begins to understand that that is true, that it can be directly aware of, to understand it until the arising and falling away of nimitta, of that characteristic, can appear, not to ignorance and doubt, because it's there. See, and this is what Buddha taught, and what he said, all dhammas are so very subtle. How come the moment of nothing at all, only that which has no shape and form, just arises in experience, before it can be acquainted as it is, no one there at all. No matter what in life, now or then, no doubt, a little more about it's just a reality. It can be a moment of just thinking, considering by conditions. No one, or it's hard, or everything is by conditions. Hearing something unpleasant. Is there any understanding? No one there at all. Only sound arising and falling away. It can condition less attachment to situation and things. Whatever is there must be by condition, to help or not to help by conditions, to stay this way or that way by conditions. No doubt about what is there as different realities, no matter it's the poor or the rich. Ignorance or understanding, all are dhammas, and this is the only way to let go wrong understanding with ignorance, because not understanding the truth. So it is attached instantly, so very, very subtle as asava, unknown, that there is seeing, no understanding the truth. It's that I, naturally, by conditions, unknowingly. That's why there is always the idea of I from birth, from moment of wake up and go to sleep. Or adamas from moment to moment in life. And what is next life? Who knows? As what is next moment, unexpectedly, anytime, by conditions. And this is the beginning to understand life, not just try or expect to be aware of a certain object. But the truth is that any moment is there. No one by conditions, there are conditions, reality. And the confidence is stronger and stronger to understand a little more of anger, a little more of attachment, a little more of tears. It's only there. It happens by conditions to be appearing only one or together with other things without any understanding. So Panya understand, no matter it's ignorance or understanding or kindness or unpleasant feeling or painful feeling, or other as conditions, reality, conditioned realities only. Is that not true? So the understanding of the truth, confidence of the truth, develops little by little, not just all at once, but by conditions, hearing again and again and again, to let go the idea of what we take for thing and people and the world. Only one moment in split second at a time. So what is that? Gone completely, never to return. No more, only once in samsara. No matter what we talk about, the moment of opening the door, moment of tasting, eating, dressing, or playing, it's so true by condition, but it's so short that it cannot be known without understanding of the truth. That the truth is there so close now. We don't have no need to try to find it somewhere. It's there now. But only right understanding begins to understand. It's there. It's true. The truth is, it's not there anymore. As soon as it's there, it falls away. But not trying to experience it by the self, but to let go ignorance that I can do or I will do. So at moment of thinking about in the book Buddhanusati, it's moment of understanding the word from his teachings, from his enlightenment, not just the word. Because when we hear chanting, what is that? What does it mean? What is it about? When there's no understanding, how can we know that it is the virtues of the Buddha? When there's no understanding. But at moment of understanding the truth, that it's there by conditions, it arises and falls away in split seconds, that can be known. And it leads to the confidence of the three gems, the Buddha, the enlightened one, and the Dhamma, the reality shown by his teachings, and the Sangha, the Panya, which develops and follows the path of realization of the truth, of that which is now does not appear as it is. And that is confidence of the truth as part of me. Even it's not this life, it is enrooted a little firmer and firmer, more confidence, little by little, until time comes at moment when it's there. As Sariputta experienced the truth, hearing just the words from Asati, or even Moggallana hearing from Sariputta. The accumulation is there to realize the truth instantly, unexpectedly, and that's the meaning of anattanis. No doubt about what is meant by Dhamma, conditions. No one can make it arise. It has arisen by conditions. Without the accumulation of right understanding enough, how can there be any condition to understand the truth of it, which is now as it stay, as it permanent? So this life, hearing the truth, is not lost. It's there accumulated. So very subtle, like holding the knife's handle. Who knows how much ignorance is gone little by little. It's wearing away at moment of understanding. It's a moment of sharpening the knife to cut off ignorance and attachment at the idea of self as Satapana. But there must be many stages of experiencing the true nature of our reality, which has been experienced before. For example, the reality which experience, see, if it does not appear or show up, there cannot be the clear understanding of the reality which experiences as no thing and no one at all. And confidence can be known in daily life. How much time to read, to consider, to understand what is there. It can be some time in life or many times in life by conditions. But understanding is there. It's not moment of forgetting. It's moment of being aware by conditions to know that, oh, it's hard. It's a reality. And when one is accustomed to the nature which is not self, it can be understanding more when it arises, different from previous moments before. สวัสดีค่ะ
Yeah,
Sadhika.
Sadhika.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Sawadee ka.
Thank you, Achan. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
So
everybody.
Thank you.